Do you think Bitcoin has hit a floor? Is it only up from here, or is what we saw over the last couple of weeks just a head fake?
I don't think any of us know exactly what happens in the short term. I mean, for us, it's a really long-term bet on digital assets overall. I think, from our perspective, you have this new human invention, and it's definitely going to have a massive effect on humanity. So what's the arc of that? What are the ups and downs? Very difficult to say. But for me, having lived through the dot-com bubble, this is like asking what was going on at that moment in time when the market had crashed, but the internet was inevitably and unquestionably going to have a massive impact on humanity.
Now, you can talk about Bitcoin all day to that end, but what about everything else? What about the NFT landscape? What about Web3 overall? How are you preparing for what the industry might look like coming out of this crypto winter?
Well, just today at Ledger, we launched Ledger Market. That was 5.5 hours ago, and we've done $3 million in business in the last 5.5 hours. So I think, again, we're going through this once in humanity digitization of everything. And I think if you fast forward 15 to 20 years from now, your passport is a digital document that is issued to your digital wallet, and the way that you prove you are who you say you are is you prove that you are the owner of the wallet containing that document. I mean, that's the scale of what we're talking about here. I think it's very difficult to pick winners and losers, just like in the late 90s or 2001, 2002. It was very difficult to pick winners and losers, but you could bet on the internet long term. And from my perspective, if you can bet on digital assets, security, and self-custody as things that are these are long term. And if you have a portfolio that's focused on those things, it's likely to return over time.
You're talking about self-custody and storing your own crypto here. What has this moment in the industry taught people about ownership of crypto assets themselves and the difficulties in doing so, especially as you see so many exchanges really show you that they own the crypto that you think you own?
Yeah. It's a great question, because I think, unfortunately, people are, keep equating the bankruptcy of, Celsius and Voyager with crypto overall, which is like equating, Bernie Madoff with the stock, with the stock industry overall. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I think what, unfortunately, it's done the hard way is it's taught people what people in the crypto industry have known for a long time: not your keys, not your coins. And that is one of the great inventions here, is that you can actually hold on to your own assets so that a run on the bank isn't possible. But unfortunately, if you just kind of go, into a system where, you give somebody else your money and you ask them to manage it for you, well, all kinds of things can happen from that moment.
Ian, you're a former Apple Music executive. You worked at Beats, and I'm so curious what the relationship is between what you see as the potential relationship between music and crypto. Are there any lessons that you learned in your former life that you're applying to crypto security?
But definitely, I left college in 1995 to go on tour with the Beastie Boys, and then I was at Beats. I worked with the great, talented team at LVMH the last 5 years. And even though my background is computer science, if I'd learned nothing about marketing with those geniuses, then I'd be pretty stupid. So I think one is just, how do we take a brand like this and bring it into culture, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. But with respect to music specifically, I mean, music is already 99.9% digital, and I think that the internet brought us this revolution of information, and what we're going through now is a revolution of value. So given that music is on some level information, it's kind of already been set free and digitized. But to the degree that, as you can see, I'm a record collector. Those are collectibles, and those will have kind of different levels of utility. I think what happens over the next year is you get these applications that, in some ways, resemble MySpace. MySpace was early, it was messy. Old people didn't understand it at first, but people will use it as a way to showcase their digital belongings, and then those digital belongings will get them access to other parts of the world. Imagine that I buy that Louis Vuitton handbag, it gives me a token. With that token, I can get into Louis Vuitton world, and I'm not waiting on the street in line anymore. This is the kind of thing that this combination of kind of digital and physical is going to bring to us, digital and physical ownership, that is.
So since we've gotten your thoughts on the crypto industry, I'm curious for your thoughts on the evolution of the music industry. Earlier in the show, we were covering Facebook offering new tools to creators who want to make licensed videos with licensed music in them. Obviously, TikTok has totally kind of reinvented this category of social media videos to musical tracks. You know, what do you see as the evolution of music combined with social media?
Well, I mean, I think what I've always said is when I was at LVMH, it was the same as when I was in the music business, in that we sold culture as a prerequisite to selling product, right? When people are buying music, you know, even when they were buying compact discs, you weren't buying, you know, a compact disc. You were buying, you know, when a teenager was buying an Eminem CD, they were buying, you know, what Eminem means to them, right? And I think it's the same when somebody buys a Dior handbag. Dior means something in culture. Therefore, you know, you purchase the product. So now that we've had this revolution of information with the internet, you know, information is free, and someone in a small town in Indiana where I grew up has the same access to culture that someone in New York or London or Paris or Tokyo does. I think that's what's completely revolutionized, you know, and I think, you know, largely it's moved us kind of away from these mass media sources and into kind of tribes and cliques. We all feel that, you know, coming out of the pandemic, but that of course affects, you know, it affects everything, including music. Music is, it's not just sonic, it's a way of belonging.